Hello students, this is Mrs. Miller, and the purpose of this video is to teach you how to respond to open-ended questions or constructed response questions. Now you're going to have to know how to do this, especially for the I-STEP test, so we're going to start practicing this on a weekly basis in reading class. Now, I'm using information from the short YouTube video of Little Red Riding Hood, so if you would like to push pause on this video and go back and watch that you can find the link to it right on our online classroom. So when we respond to a question, we're going to have a 4-sentence response. And we can think about the I-STEP lady, she's right here, and we can think about the words yes ma'am. So let's pretend that the I-STEP lady is asking, do you understand the question? We could say yes ma'am, and the word ma'am has the 4 letters that we need to be thinking of in our response. So the first letter is the letter M, and it stands for me. This is where you restate and answer the question. You are putting your own response, you are putting your inference, or whatever you feel the response is. Then the next letter in ma'am is A, and that's for author. That's where you write a sentence from the text to support your answer. And I have provided you with 4 sentence starters that you can use. You can just pick one of these to show that you're using some information from the text. The second A is just like the first A. It stands for author. You're writing another sentence from the text that supports your answer. And again, I put the same sentence starters for you so you can select one of those. And finally, for the last sentence, you're thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your own thoughts. You're writing a sentence that explains the importance of the evidence that you picked to support your answer. And I gave you 5 sentence starters to choose from here. So I would like to demonstrate for you to show you how this works. I have my blank constructed response practice page, and I have a question about Little Red Riding Hood. Sorry about that. I have my question. Okay, now you can see my question. It says, was Little Red Riding Hood partially to blame for her granny being eaten by the wolf? Well, I'm going to start by restating and answering my question. I'm going to put, yes, Red was partially to blame for her granny being eaten by the wolf. So yes, Red was partially to blame for her granny being eaten by the wolf. So you can see here that I just took words right. I put my answer, and then I took words right out of the question, and I put them here as part of my answer. That's called restating the question. Now I'm going to select a sentence starter for my second sentence because I have to have details from the text to support my answer. And I'm going to use this one right here. I'm going to use that. Okay? So, according to the passage, Red stopped and talked to a stranger. So according to the passage, Red stopped and talked to a stranger. That is my first piece of evidence to support that it's partially Red's fault. And the second one I'm going to use the author states. The author states that Red told Wolf exactly where her granny lived, so Wolf knew where to go to find Granny. The author states that Red told Wolf exactly where her granny lived, so Wolf knew where to go to find Granny. Now we have our final sentence that shows that we have good evidence to support our answer. I'm going to use this one here, this sentence starter that says this proves, and type my response. This proves that it is partially Red's fault for what happened to Granny because she made a very foolish decision. Okay, so there is my 4-sentence response. And now I'm just going to come right down here and I'm going to type out my entire response. I'm going to rewrite my entire response without the lines in between. Okay, so let me get rid of these here. This can be a little bit distracting. I'm going to write out my response. Yes, Red is partially responsible for Granny being eaten by Wolf. According to the passage, Red stopped and talked to a stranger. The author states that Red told Wolf exactly where her granny lived, so Wolf knew where to go to find Granny. This proves that it is partially Red's fault for what happened to Granny because she made a very foolish decision. Now, I do want you to notice here that I use the word because. Because is another good way to show that I am explaining my answer. So I want to proofread my answer. It says, yes, Red is partially responsible for Granny being eaten by Wolf. According to the passage, Red stopped and talked to a stranger. The author states that Red told Wolf exactly where her granny lived, so Wolf knew where to go to find Granny. This proves that it is partially Red's fault for what happened to Granny because she made a very foolish decision. And my friends, this is the same format that you are going to use to respond to your questions, your constructed response questions. If you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to send me a comment on the online classroom, or you can just ask me, okay?